Today I will take a look at this Arrows RC Trekker. If you look at the box, you might be fooled to think that this is a really small RC airplane, but in fact inside is a 1.2 meter wingspan RC airplane. So let's start putting this one together. First up is to attach the two fuselage pieces. So you just put this one pointing down, and you can slide in the cables and put this one in. Then you have two cables. Now what I had to do, I had to open these holes by using a little bit of a larger drill, because the holes were not aligned. Once I just widened the hole, I could screw these two screws in. So there's one on top and one on the bottom. And you have the nose gear, which just slides in. There's a locking mechanism. So just put this one all the way in until it snaps. And inside you can see that it's within the servo arm. For the landing gears, you have this metal bracket. You can just put this one in one direction. Then you have this plastic cover. And you use 3 of these short 2mm hex driver heads screws, which is really nice. So I think these screws should be on all RC airplanes. They're really easy, good grip also. You can purchase a float set for this Trekker and have this mount on this front piece as well as a real piece. And you should be able to just remove the nose gear and use this one as a tail dragger mounting point also, if you can find a suitable landing gear. The rear stabilizer just slides in place. There's a groove just to put this one in all the way. You have a wing spar to connect the two wing halves and to support the wing. And as this plane doesn't feature anything else except ailerons, just a one cable to slide through this hole into the fuse then. A little bit fiddly just to get it in, and then put the wing on the spar and just make sure that you don't squeeze the cable. Same thing then on the other side. It's a good length also to the servo cable. Slide this one in, and the wing is held by 2 screws for each wing half, so you don't need to turn these screws in many turns. So I think that so far this is a really nice build, except then for the split rear connection of the fuse then, where I had to open up the holes just to line the screw holes. You have these struts then, slide in, and you can only put them in one direction. You have this notch. And same thing here, 2 screws with 2mm hex heads. On the other end on the struts, you have this tiny screw, which is not a 2mm hex strut. You used a cross driver just to secure these. And it would be nice to have seen like a clip with these mounting points, but I think that this is a prettier solution. But clips are of course much easier. Then when you have set up your TX, you have to align the elevator servo linkage then and put this one in. Just make sure that the control surface is straight, and use this silicone ring to secure it. After you set up your TX, you can put on your propeller. So you have this plastic rear piece, propeller, a washer, and a nut to secure this. And as usual with these plastic parts, they're not really over tight, then just use enough force to make it fit good. And then you have this plastic cone to put this one on. The build on this tracker is really nice. The only problem I had was this split tail, because the hole's in the line, so I have to use a screw to widen the hole, then I couldn't screw it in. But other than that, just a really great build. I put an AR631 receiver in mine because I had just a few receivers in my toolbox. I did also swap the speed controller inside to an AVN 30 amp, and the stock EC in this plane is a 20 amp. But when I measure then with the AVN, I have a power draw somewhere between 20 and 25 amp, so I think that the stock 20 amp speed control then is under specified. So the 30 amp is a really good match for this RC airplane. So I mean, a great build apart then from the split one. But I just have to show you one thing, because I mean, this is a 1.2 meter RC airplane, and behind me I have the X-Fly Glasstar 1.2, and they are the same size, more or less. But this is the box then for the tracker, and I mean, this is the box then for the Glasstar. I mean, it's quite interesting really, because I'm just doing like this. You can see that the box then for the Glasstar is just huge in comparison, double the size, and yet they are the same. So whatever they've done, I think it's just fantastic, because if you want to store the box, it's so much smaller. For transportation, then I think the cost will just surely be doing this more and more, because I really can't see the point of having large boxes when you can do a quite simple thing by just having a split tail. But now I'm interested to get this one up in there, so let's head outside and fly the tracker. It's a nice day to do Maiden, just a slight breeze. So let's get a sense for how this one kind of power you have. Kind of interesting stall turn. I didn't get squirrely, so that's a good thing.
Time remaining 4 minutes.
It's an effective rudder. I don't think that the roll rate is too great. I also suspect that this RC plane is meant more to kind of a beginner RC pilot. I mean, it is lightweight. It's a good size. So let's get this one down. No flaps. See how it slows down. It does feel really lightweight when you fly this RC plane. It's not a powerhouse. It runs on a 3S 2200 milliamp battery. I set a timer for 5 minutes, which is usually okay. And when I tried the EC then, this plane maxed out at like 23 amps, so it doesn't really suck the juice out of the battery, which is a good thing. So the roll isn't really fast. I have set this one up just by the manual with 100% rate and 30% expo. So I guess I would like to just increase the rate then on the next flight. So with no throttle and just full elevator, doesn't really stall anything, which is really good behavior. And I managed just to get it down on the mains, although a little bit ploppy, so let's do it again. Just kill the throttle and pull full elevator. Yeah, it's a easy RC airplane to get down. Doesn't drop the wing. So one more time then. No throttle. I just pull the elevator. Yeah, it's a really easy RC airplane to get down this tracker. No stall tendency, just a great one to get down. And with all tricycle gear RC airplanes, you should really try to get them down on the mains first.
23 Celsius.
I so wish for this RC airplane to have some sort of LED lights. That would be just fantastic. You can see the wind just kicking this one, so let's get it down then once more. Oops. Okay. Well, when it's gusty, it's gusty. So what happened was I just lost lift. I think the wind just shifted or died. One more time then. So, I mean, it does float really well. Even with no throttle in full elevator, it will continue to fly for a while. So there I have my first speed controller alarm then from the Avian speed controller I have inside. And the way I set up mine then, I have them set for 3.5 volt per cell as an alarm. So when the voltage then, the total voltage drops below 10.5 volts, I get an alarm. Time's up, so let's get this one down. So I'll use the same technique. Just kill throttle and let this one drop and then pull full elevator. So this is a super easy RC airplane to get down. Now this is a great flying RC airplane. I wouldn't say that this is the most fun or agile RC airplane, and I certainly wouldn't say that I personally like the colors on this RC airplane. I think there's just too much white space on it, and the thing is, just for orientation, just for enjoyment when you fly an RC airplane, if you have like colors, stripes, differential things then from the top side and the bottom side of the RC airplane, I think they look so much better in the sky. It's so much more easy to orientate. I don't think that this one is bad, but it's not really too good either. It's also kind of an odd shaped RC airplane with this long nose. So I mean, surely it's not the most beautiful RC airplane, but it's really fun to fly this one regardless. It's a lightweight RC airplane. It runs on 3S batteries. You can get a quite long flight time, but even though this is a tricycle gear RC airplane then, which, I mean, the vulnerable thing then most often is the nose wheel, and this one just shoves in and hooks up to the servo horn then for the rudder or the steerable nose wheel. So you can more or less pull this one out if you want to. But there is a spring mechanism, and so far it just held up really great during my flights. And I think that when you land this RC airplane, you don't need any throttle at all. You can more or less just kill the throttle, glide down, pull full elevator, and it will land on the rear wheels then, and just touch down then on the nose after that in a really good way. So as far as landing, I think it's just fantastic. It goes really up really fast as well. It's not a fast rolling RC airplane, but I have increased aileron authority on mine to 120% because I want to have as much as I can. And I also did increase AS3X gain on this RC airplane. So usually I'm just doing 1 time gain, but on this one I put in 2 time. I didn't experience any wiggling of the RC airplane due to over controlled gyro. So maybe 2x on this one is a good choice then. And I usually have like the gain control on my dial on the top of my NX10, so I can just fine tune it during flight if I need to. But my judgment of this RC airplane is that this is a straight competitor to the FMS Ranger 1.2 meter. They are the same size. They are both tricycle gear RC airplanes, but I like the design of the FMS Ranger much more. I think that the FMS Ranger is also a kind of a speedier RC airplane, if you like. Just as this one, super forgiving when it comes to landing, more or less just kill throttle, pull full up elevator, and it just lands great. But I'm certainly enjoying this one, and I think the box size means that I can put this one away when I'm not flying it, and just it takes up almost no space. So maybe the best thing then about this one is actually the box.